Coco Gauff enters points deduction debate after Swiatek and Sabalenka Dubai withdrawals. The WTA calendar has reached its second 1,000-level stop, with the Dubai Tennis Championships now in full swing. The tournament still features a strong lineup despite a few absences. Reigning Australian Open champion Elena Rybakina is there, along with two-time major winner Coco Gauff and world number 4 Amanda Anisimova. There was an expectation before the start of the event that both Aryna Sabalenka and Iga Swiatek would be participating. However, the world's top two players have both withdrawn from the event. Sabalenka cited health issues, saying she was not feeling 100%, while Swiatek explained her withdrawal was due to a change of schedule. At her pre-tournament press conference, Gauff faced a question about whether players who withdraw from events before they begin should have points deducted. Coco Gauff gives her thoughts on Iga Swiatek and Aryna Sabalenka pulling out of Dubai. The 21-year-old American said, "Yeah, for me, I don't think I've ever really pulled out of a 1,000 that I can remember off the top of my head. I definitely don't think players do it, like they just don't want to play. I don't think it's that decision. You look at, burnout throughout the year. Although maybe it might not affect you now, it will affect you later. I feel like for me, this part of the season I have always struggled just because of the transition and things like that. Do I think players should be docked points? Not really. We already have the mandatory. We get zeros on our ranking for everything. For this point in the schedule, I think it's hard to play all the tournaments now that they're 2 weeks. I think the ask of players are becoming more and more and more. I do understand the tournament side. They obviously want the players there. In the past, I think top players have always come to Doha and Dubai. This draw has historically been a tough draw. I understand it's unfortunate this year. I don't think it's fair for players to get docked points. I think, if anything, we should have an optional 1,000 like the men do with Monte Carlo. Yeah, I think that's a little bit harsh in my opinion." Coco Gauff looks back on her results from the 2026 season. The 2026 campaign began for Coco Gauff at the United Cup, where she played a key role in helping Team USA reach the semifinals. She then headed to Melbourne for her 7th Australian Open appearance, making it through to the quarterfinals before being knocked out by Elena Svitolina. Gauff then made her way to the Middle East for the Qatar Open but was knocked out in her opening match against Elisabetta Cocciaretto, losing in straight sets. The American will now turn her focus to Dubai, where she is set to compete for the 6th time in her career. Her best result at this tournament came in 2023 when she reached the semifinals. Breaking the balance, Coco Gauff, player welfare, and the debate over points deductions. In the glamorous deserts of the Dubai Tennis Championships, where tradition, prize money and global prestige converge, a curious debate has emerged, not just about performance, but about player rights, welfare and the structure of professional tennis itself. This time, it didn't come from a coach, a tournament promoter, or the WTA boardroom. It came from the articulate and thoughtful voice of Coco Gauff. Gauff's comments about whether players who withdraw from tournaments should face ranking points deductions, and her clear inclination against such penalties, have lit up a broader discussion about how the Women's Tennis Association, navigates mandates versus athlete autonomy. As with many things in sport, the surface controversy masks deeper currents that reflect the demands on elite athletes, the complexities of ranking systems, and how those systems sometimes run headlong into questions of human limits and fairness. A sudden debate in the Middle East. The catalyst for this discussion was the withdrawal of two of the world's biggest stars, Iga Swiatek and Aryna Sabalenka, from the Dubai tournament. Both the world number 1 and number 2 opted out in the days leading up to the event, citing reasons ranging from feeling not 100% to a change of schedule. With such high-profile names pulling out at the last minute, some voices in the tennis world, including Dubai's tournament director, suggested that harsher sanctions should be applied, perhaps including ranking points deductions, to discourage withdrawals and ensure top players show up. Enter Coco Gauff, not an outsider to this topic, but one who has carved her own path among the elite and understands the grind of the tour intimately. Coco Gauff's stand: empathy, experience, and perspective. At just 21 years old, Gauff is no stranger to life at the top level. She's competed at Grand Slams, risen swiftly through the rankings, and bore the intensity of top competition, and yet she brought a measured and empathetic tone to the debate. Rather than dismissing the idea of points deductions outright, she offered perspective. She emphasized that few players withdraw lightly and that the cumulative demands of the tennis calendar, especially during the intense early season that includes multiple back-to-back tournaments, can push even the fittest athletes to their limits. Her message wasn't one of dissent against tournaments per se, but a call for understanding athlete burnout and practical challenges. Gauff acknowledged that players have historically struggled with this part of the schedule, especially as many events stretch to 2 weeks and leave little recovery time in between. In her words, deducting points might not be fair, and the system already has zeros in rankings for missed events, implying that punishing athletes further might disproportionately penalize those trying to balance health, performance, and longevity. The WTA calendar, a machine built for excellence and exhaustion. At the heart of this debate is the WTA's intricate ranking and mandatory participation system. Under current rules, top players are expected to compete in a set number of high-level events, including 4 Grand Slams, 10 WTA 1000 events, and 6 WTA 500 tournaments, unless they have valid injury or personal reasons. Failure to meet these commitments can result in zero-pointer scores or fines. This system creates an interesting paradox. It ensures that stars must show up for marquee tournaments, preserving fan interest, sponsor value, and the sport's commercial engine. But it also subjects athletes to relentless travel, minimal recovery time, and rising pressure to perform even when their bodies signal a need for rest. When players like Swiatek and Sabalenka choose to withdraw, it's often a complex decision. Sabalenka cited health concerns, while Swiatek mentioned schedule adjustments. It's worth noting that in some cases, the label change of schedule isn't a casual identity. It can be used strategically to minimize fines or avoid stricter penalties while acknowledging a player needs rest or training focus before more significant events. In other words, the reasons behind withdrawals are often nuanced and deeply connected to managing one's competitive peaks and troughs. Points deductions, a deterrent or a disincentive. The idea of docking players, ranking points, as punishment, rather than merely applying fines or zeros, has intuitive appeal to tournament organizers. After all, points dictate player seedings, status, and a large part of their professional value.